Oh, Tele, I love you, but I hate you. So to a lot of people, the Tele is the guitar that can do it all. On most days, I totally agree with you. I think a Telecaster is one of the most versatile guitars. Probably its biggest asset is just how simple it is. You know, there's not a lot going on, so I guess there's not a lot that can go wrong with it. But there's still a few things that always bugged me on, and I'm curious if you guys feel the same way. So here we go. So let's start with the headstock. Now this is something that I've also seen lots of complaints, not complaints, just people who are kind of like me, who just have never really dug the Telecaster headstock. It always seems small to me. I much prefer the Strat headstock. You know, I love Gibson's open book headstock, all that kind of stuff. Tele has never been in the top for me. Funny enough, the headstock is actually a big reason why I didn't jive with Telecasters for a long time. Headstock shouldn't matter that much, but it always has to me. I never really liked the way that they looked. It took a long time for it to grow on me, and boy was I missing out. But a big old plot twist is that I can't imagine it having a different headstock. You know, this is it. If you've ever seen the original, essentially Telecaster headstocks, the 3/3 design, I definitely like the Tele look a lot better. So the control layout on a Tele is one of those things I've never really cared for. I always wanted it to basically be flipped around from what it is. I have the switch up front here and the volume, a whole bunch of dead space. I never understood why this was here. And then of course your tone knob. Now I wish that the switch was in the middle and the volume knob was up here, because I do so much with the volume knob. That's more of like probably a personal preference, but I like to be able to grab that with my pinky. And if you have, you know, bigger paws like I do, what happens is I have a hard time sometimes getting my finger between the three-way selector and flipping it back to the neck or even the middle position. So that's just because there's just no space here. My fingers are just too big. So I always thought it would make more sense if the volume was up here and then the switch would be somewhere in the middle, and of course your tone knob, and even angled. I would like this if this was angled a little bit more. I always kind of felt like this straight-on approach here was not the most, maybe ergonomic is a good way to put it, but my hands kind of fumble around on a Tele a lot more than what they do on a Strat, and a Strat is very angled, and the Tele is very, very straight on. So the neck pickup, basically I want it to be an Esquire is what this whole one boils down to. And if you've watched the channel for a while, I've always mentioned how I'm not a big fan of the neck pickup on Telecasters. When I think of neck pickup, I think of Strat. So neck pickup Tele? Nope. Neck pickup Strat, and that's the bottom line. Even the middle position, you know, on a Telecaster, we know that fabled Jimmy Page middle position sound. I prefer Les Paul. You know, I like to get the Les Paul. I use the middle position, a little bit beefier sounding than on the Tele. It's just a personal preference, but that's just kind of my jam. So if I want that pagey sound, yo, Les Paul time. So add all that stuff up. That's exactly why my favorite Tele is not a Tele. My favorite is an Esquire. I don't even have to worry about the neck pickup. Get it out of there. I want the bridge pickup. That's where all the mojo, and I don't want a neck pickup stealing any of that from the bridge. Tone controls. Who needs them? Oh, that's me. I need them. Now, you might be like, what, you don't want a tone control? No, I want more tone controls. A problem I have now, this has just progressed as a player. This was not an early on issue I had, but now I use my tone knobs so much to really dial in a tone. Now, when I use the neck pickup on a Telecaster, I roll the tone down quite a bit to give it a little bit of a richer sound. And what happens is if I go back to the bridge pickup, it's too dark. I don't want all that high end out of the bridge. I want that snap and bite, just living it up in the bridge pickup. So what happens is, this is just any guitar that has a master tone instead of two individual tones. I almost never like the same tone setting on a neck pickup as I do the bridge pickup. If you've ever played a Dan Electro, you know that a lot of times they have stacked tone and volume knobs. So check this out, you see what I mean. So I don't know if there's a way to do that on a Tele where you could have two tone knobs, essentially maybe split in half, but in one position. You don't need to take up and have another knob here. You're just going to be crowding out stuff at that point. But maybe a stacked tone knob would be a good solution for that. I think that would help a lot, and I'd probably really dig the Tele neck pickup if I had that kind of a solution available. Just like on the old Les Paul, upper fret access, a little bit funky on a Strat, on a Telecaster. Now what's funky about it? Well, you got a whole big old hunk of horn right here. What do you want to call this? You know, it's a single cutaway guitar. So on a Strat, you know, your thumb can kind of get up there around that neck joint. You know, the Strat and Teles have kind of blocky neck joints on them, and without this space up here, a little bit harder. You know, I treat it essentially the same way that I do a Les Paul. My fingers have to angle themselves to get all the way up here, and you kind of get used to dropping your thumb. You adapt to it, of course, but it is a little bit different. Actually, Nuno Betancourt, one of my favorite guitar players, just released a signature T style with Washburn. If you've ever seen his guitars, he has something called a Stevenson cutaway. So it's like a T style guitar with his signature Stevenson cutaway. And I'm like, yo, that's so cool. Like, that would be amazing on a Tele. So I really want to try one of those. And I think that would be a huge solution to where you could keep the overall aesthetic of the Tele body, which I think looks great. I love the way a Tele looks. But you could actually get that upper fret access a little bit easier with that Stevenson cutaway. Or even I think the new Ultras have a little bit more of that neck heel shaved away, so you can get up top a little bit easier too on those. And that's it. The Telecaster is one of the most inspiring guitars. I highly encourage, go try one. Get your hands on it. It has a whole different vibe to it. The simplicity of the design is such a huge asset because you know what it relies on? It relies on your paws. You got to get your hands working to make it all kind of flow together. So if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button if you would. All kinds of links to support the channel are down below. You can like the video, all those good things. And I will be seeing you all later. Have a good rest of the day. Get your Telecasters out, bend them strings, play some Jimmy Page licks, and I'll see you later. Woo!